heard people say that much of African history got lost due to the separation of families as people were kidnapped from their homeland, shipped to the Americas against their will, and forced to tap into their skills, resilience, and resourcefulness to build economies for others who either wouldn't or couldn't do it on their own. But God made sure our history would never be lost. We simply needed to rediscover it, which is made possible by what's in our DNA. Our DNA is where we can access the missing pieces of our identity and appreciate our history before colonization, when Africans were scripting math textbooks, sailing the globe, and inventing medicines whose origins trace back to Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa. History isn't merely the accumulation of fact. It is also about a different vision that changes the way we view, feel, and experience the world we live in today, in our own skin, with our lived experiences at the center. The mission of Indigenous Health appeals to that vision by building the most valuable and genetically diverse data bank on the planet. What we're taught in school, the language we speak, the clothes we wear, and our names in many cases, are merely artifacts of a time that began when it was much easier to colonize the imagination by controlling it through a majoritarian narrative. A narrative that uses terms like plantations instead of more appropriate ones like death camps, or touts historic sites as museums instead of what they are, crime scenes. It was a narrative intentionally designed to create an identity void that could then be filled with self-hate, feelings of inadequacy, and detachment from a proud history that caused many to recognize their greatness enough to rebel against enslavement. A narrative designed to entrap those who were deemed inferior into believing the problem resided within them, not the conditions that led to the capture of their mind and body. We inherited that story in our blood, a story that was never about what's wrong with us. It's about what happened to our forebears and how we honor their pain and history through the momentum of memory. A story that God and nature locked into our DNA. I joined the Indigenous Health Impact Advisory Board to be a part of the movement to harness the emancipatory power of truth and use it to preserve our lives through disease prevention, drug discovery and development, clinical disease management, and precision health equity. We may not be able to change the world as we've come to know it, but we can change our relationship to it by knowing who we are and what's inside of us. Indigenous Health will do that by planting the seeds of trees whose shade that many of us will never sit under, but will cover those who will inherit our story in their DNA.